Yo, it's THEMOSHOW Chicago, and we are BACKAGAIN on another fantastic, sucker-free, hazy day. And if this is your first time watching the THEMOSHOW Chicago, I ask that you share the information with relatives, friends, co-workers, anyone that you come into contact with. It is a magnificent way to jumpstart your conversation. And today's conversation just happens to be a very critical one. Why critical, Mo? Because this conversation involves Black America and education, meaning Black woman, Black man, Black child, and education. Why is that critical, Mo? Well, let me give you a lesson on that. Well, according to history, we were brought here in chains in the year 1619, according to history, but we know that that's not true because we were already here. And even Christopher Columbus told you that, but they don't teach you that in school. That's one reason why we're talking about this subject right now. Now, according to their story, we were brought in chains here in 1619. And when we were brought here in Virginia, okay, we were lynched, we were beaten, we were robbed, we were castrated. We had tar poured on our bodies, set on fire as horses went different directions, tearing us apart as they had rope connected to the horse and to our legs. And our women, watch this, our children, watch this. They watched that to instill fear in us. Everything that we have encountered with the Neanderthal since our encounter has been horrific, 1,000%. Has been horrific, 1,000%. That's not even up for debate, okay? Yet and still, being armed with this knowledge, whom do Black America send their children to school to be educated by? Now, you may say, well, there are some Black teachers. Aren't you a teacher, Mo? I am. I really am. But that's not what I'm saying. When you go into the schools, you will find curriculums. And these curriculums are from who? Who do you get your public education curriculum from? Not even, let's go further than that. Public education, public housing, public aid, etc., etc., etc. Now, seeing that we have had nothing but a horrific time and a horrific experience as a people, as a whole, dealing with the Neanderthal, why should you allow your children to be educated by that curriculum? Not to mention the fact that in that curriculum, it is not telling you the truth. It's giving you a story of the conquerors. I'm going to say that again. They are giving you an education and story and history of the conqueror. And we, being Black people, are the conquered on stolen land. Excuse me. Stolen land on our land, which has been conquered by the Neanderthal. If you look at Black America across the U.S., the education system, the public education system, is a prime example and is the outcome of what your child is like, meaning that their actions, their rooting, their behavior all comes from a curriculum, a system or curriculum that you did not devise whatsoever, didn't even have a plan in it. Now, I'm not saying when you get to a collegiate level or high school level or anything like that. No, I'm speaking at an elementary level. You mean to tell me that the public school systems and the curriculum in the public school systems are smarter than what you are, seeing that you have advanced from that system? And if you have advanced from that system, then you should be able to instill an education in your child that is superior to that in which they are teaching your child in the public school curriculum. Would you agree? Because I do. I do. Don't you? And if you don't, well, I will have to question your mental stateness. I will have to question your mental stateness. Yes, I would. Now, as your child gets older, you have no history of yourself in those curriculums. The only thing that you see in those curriculums, they tell you where civilization started, and then those people where civilization started was enslaved. and they say that they were bought here. Well, how many ships would it have to take to bring all of these black people here to America? I'm just saying, that's something to think about too. Not to mention other historical facts that we can go by and find. For example, like Columbus said that he met dark-skinned people here and they had gold. You can go over to Mexico and find out more information if you like, and if you can't go to Mexico, look up the Nagas. Look up the Nagas. And I'm sure that you'll find some of them in Mexico. Where do you think the Aztecs got their building the pyramids from? In fact about it, there's a humongous statue of a black man. His head weighs about 50 tons. Okay? Evidence that we was already here before 1619 if that piece is over 50,000 years old. And they don't teach you anything about your kids except that they were slaves. They don't teach your kids that they were kings and queens. You're going to trust someone to educate your child who raped you. You're going to trust someone to educate your child who hung you. You're going to trust someone to educate your child who lynched you. You're going to trust someone to educate your child who castrated you, who set you on fire, who instilled fear in you from the day that you all even met. We're not going to even talk about, the Greek freak, Alexander the Greek. We're not going to talk about his encounter with the ancient black Egyptians. We're not going to even talking about that. We're keeping this up to date, okay? And if you trust your rapist, your murderer, I'll tell you a story. Back in Valdosta, Georgia, do you know that you had white men, Neanderthals, who would cut the babies out of the women's stomach and stomp on the baby's head? And this is the person whom you are trusting your child to be educated by? No wonder your child is nuts. No wonder your child is nuts. You can't get a grip on your child. You can't talk to your child. Could it possibly be that the education system is part of the problem? Could it also be the music, which is also a form of education? Music is a form of education. TV programming is a form of education. Stop me when I'm lying. I'll wait. And you wonder why our children are seeds of wrath out here. Parents are afraid of their children. You have parents right now who want their children to leave because they're reckless. Yet they don't know how to tell their children to leave because they're afraid that their children may cut their TV off. Real talk. If you cannot educate your child and you continue to allow your children and trust your former slave master who has obviously shown you that he is your enemy, if you continue to trust that person to educate your child, what is the future of your child? What has been the future of our people since we've been educated by this system? Okay, look at all of the inventions that you have in America. Look at your spoon. Look at your TV. Look at your stoplight. Look at your straightening comb. Look at your perms. Look at your first heart transplant. Look at your first doctor. Look at your first radiator, your first refrigerator. Look at your first phone. We done all of that with no schooling. I'm just saying. Remember, they did not even want us to read a book. Remember, they did not even want us to read a book. Yet you're going to trust them to educate your child to be a success. The public school system, your child is an example of what they learned in public school. Your child is an example of what they learned in public school. In fact about it, they don't even want to be there. I'm going to say that again. In fact, they don't even want to be there. Ask your child, what did they learn today? Huh? What's going to help your child? Funds, economy. Money is going to help your child. They're not going to teach your child about economics. Huh? You need to build. They took out all of the trading schools. They took out all of the trading schools. But there are still people who know how to build. Carpenters, engineers, mechanics. I swear to you, if I had to do it over again, never went to the military, one thing is for sure, I would have chose mechanics or to be some type of mason. A mason meaning one who builds, one who does cement, bricklayers, all of that. A mason. Car mechanics, I have never seen a broke car mechanic. Yet, black people continue to take their cars all over to these places that's not owned by black people. Stop me when I'm lying. You take all of your cars over to these places that's not owned by black people, unless they're alley mechanics. Yes, we do have alley mechanics, but how many do you find? Yes, how many do you find? Now, why is it that we can't take our cars to our own mechanic shops? Huh? Why can't you have a mechanic shop? Why can't your child have a mechanic shop? Because you're not sending your child that way. You're sending your child to go to school to be some accountant, some whatever. Something that they may be in an unemployment line for. Huh? Because I'm telling you, teachers be in unemployment lines too. Especially during the summer. But think about that. If you ever want to advance as a people, what's the first thing you teach a child? It's about economics. They hide everything from you that is essential to your growth and development. I'm going to say that again. They hide everything or don't teach you that which is for your growth and development. Stop me when I'm lying. You have children going to college to be psychiatrists, to be social workers, to count numbers, to be an accountant, maybe, to be a CNA. A CNA? Come on, man. We developed the internet. Do you understand? We developed spoons, forks, knives, the very same things that we eat with right now. We did that. Who do you think taught the Neanderthal how to cook his food? I'm just keeping it a buck. Leave your comments in the comment section. Do you think that black people would be better off continuing sending their children to a public education curriculum school? Or do you think that black people would be better off educating their own children? You may say, well, I can't get my public housing. There's that public again. I can't get my public aid. There's that public again. What am I supposed to do? I can't live nowhere. You know why? Because you're still relying on the public aid, the public system. You're still relying on that versus relying on you, yourself, and all of those whom are around you as a whole. Because they don't look at us as individuals. They look at us as a whole. Stop being individualistic. This is what this type of curriculum does. This is what this does. If you smart or you dumb, the smart person don't help the dumb person. Okay, the smart person just continues to excel, and those that get left behind get left behind. Why? Because that's their system, not your system. In fact, about it, has any system that has been developed really been for your benefit? You say, well, they gave me a house. They should give you a house because they stole everything from you. You should get free everything. They stole it all from you. You're talking about reparations, yet you have reparations every day. We spend $1 trillion a year on nothing. On nothing. We don't even have a school for ourselves. We don't even have a school for ourselves. Now you say, Mo, you being stupid, you being racist. No, I'm not. Check this out. If you go to China, who's educating those Chinese children? If you go to Japan, who's educating those Japanese children? If you go to Korea, who's educating those Korean children? If you go to Mexico, who's educating those Mexican children? Huh? If you go to Russia, who's educating those Russian children? If you go to Africa, who is educating those children? Not Africans. Not Africans. They are actually speaking Mandarin language, the Chinese language. It is a mandatory class, a mandatory language for Africans to take Mandarin language in their own homeland, because their own homeland has not only been conquered by the Conference of Berlin, but Chinese are moving in. They even got jails in China right now. for black people. Not for the Chinese, but for black people. Yet you continue to send your child to the slaughterhouse. Have you ever heard of that song by Pink Floyd? Or have you ever seen the video by Pink Floyd, The Wall? Teachers, leave those kids alone. Teachers, leave those kids alone. But the teachers can't leave the kids alone because you keep sending your children to the teachers to be miseducated, to be a time clock, a time bomb. I'm just saying, if you think that your child is not an example of the public school system, you're wrong. If you think that your child is not an example of today's music industry, you're wrong. If you think that your child is not an example of the one-eyed TV monster today, you're wrong, because this is where they're getting their behaviors from. Not to mention the fact, the environments in which they stay. What type of environment do you stay in? Now, we all know that your environment has a way of sculpturing you. There's no way getting around that. So if you're not able to think outside of the box, you're caught in that environment. And you're caught inside that environment because you have a lack of education. What does it say in the book of Hosea? My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. I'm going to say that again. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. When the Chinese got a train, right, what did they do? They got their blueprint from Mr. Charlie over here and built a better train than Mr. Charlie. I'm just saying. And did you know that Dodge, you know, the company Dodge, that, you know, cars and all of that, did you know that Dodges were first built by two black brothers? By two brothers who were black? You ought to need to be educated. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Self-education. You have the internet right now, can teach you any and everything that you want. You don't have to go to a public school no more. You can get all your education for free as long as you have internet. Not to mention the fact that we are on our way to self-destruction because we can't stop turning each other's TVs off over nothing. We can't seem to handle our problems with sense and discussion. It's your brother, the THEMOSHOW Chicago. Leave your comments in the comment section. I appreciate that. Remember, it's your third eye that makes you shine like jewelry. And if you haven't done so already, check out the video entitled Think Before You Do It. Think Before You Do It, which is right under this video. Share that video with all and any and everybody that you know. Share that video. Think before you do it. Peace out.
Soon still wood on western style guns at high noon. Moms and silverbacks, blooms with killer claps. So if you ever try live, I'ma send them at you. I'ma let the 38 sneeze from your head to your found sick like me.